we are um, gathering some information today, right? As we have been presenting the tutorials, lectures to nurture the community curiosity, and at the same time to make it available for all the people who study sciences, medical sciences, surgical technologists, and even nursing, doctors, assistants, right? And with the aim to allow people to move on forward with their personal interest, whether for self-enrichment, right? Whether because they want have some sort of like a boot camp at home and start raising the children in certain culture where people will learn the medical sciences um, as a way of living, right? And we say that the children learn everything related with kindergarten, which is the culture to introduce the children and how to groom themselves and to be able to understand the reasons to groom themselves and how to do it, right? And the reasons to dress themselves, to care for their environment, to care for the substances and things that surround them since they are in kindergarten, right? We jump into the idea and to provide a way of understanding the culture of the elementary school also, right? Where the right hand insists, right, all the professors, so people can learn how to use the right hand with a better idea, with the idea to promote the workforce and to take advantage, to be part of the industry, right? Because most of the machinery is built up with the idea to have somebody with the right hand working it, right? And this is because the story of people around our lifetime has shown that very young boys, very young girls decide to make a family, right? And eventually the boys end up joining the girl parents to be part of their culture, and from their seventh level, from the sixth level, start working in environments where will provide a ways of living, right? Eventually reaching out the middle school, which allows the students to keep contact with the laboratory and to learn about safety hazards in regards of all the things that surrounds ourselves, right? And as well, reaching out for the high school, that people learn about the lab stages and when and the danger that there are as people cross substances and use of substances or spilled or substances, and even at the same home living several people together, right, by being in contact, right, and how many germs and how many viruses, and the quality of the soils, the pesticides, and the things that they are taken and used around in normal living conditions. By taking it into the stage of training at high school, allows the students to understand the matter and the ways the matter are found in nature, right? And by understanding all those things, right, which is the culture of understanding, right, a little bit more than when they were in middle school, which is just safety precautions, and a little bit more from elementary school, which was the important to use the right hand, at least to have a chance to be part of the workforce and to know why the kindergarten is the reason that there is the way it is. But when the student reach out the professional, right, and some people just make a step on junior college in order to be prepared, right, and to be sure that the path that they have chosen is the right one for them, right? And up to our days, we have analyzing that it's not just the talent the person has in order to pursue with certain degrees, right? It is not just that, it's the finances, it will be the family members, and it will be the competition that there is involved in the opportunities and where the person has been set their mind and to continue with their education, right? And therefore, we have been providing all these tutoring sessions, right, in International Pentecost University with this Joseph Theology and Science lectures and tutorings, and where the person gets the idea in science, the beginning, which is child delivering, right, which is what our interest in into the medical sciences, right, we insist in the knowledge into the child delivering, right, because this is something that is happening in the houses where people or the mother-in-law or the mother eventually aids the young lady and to have the child, right? And sometimes by when the baby is out, they call the ambulance in order to finish whatever that there is that they have already happened, right, in the house, right? And also when the person receives a training starting in the medical sciences, right? And as a, like I was telling you, as a matter of boot camp, right? By teaching the person, the young people, and to take advantage of all the information that there is nowadays in order to understand what we have, the responsibility and the commitment to understand our human body. And by understanding the anatomy the way it is, right, which is traditionally start with thorax, and then you move to abdomen, and then you move to pelvis, and then you move to neck, and then you move to head, and then you move to lower extremities, and then the arms, right? And by analyzing each one of this anatomy, right, the person engages into understand the mind, taking the psychology, the psychiatry, right? And by learning it, you can be able to understand even yourself and even the people around you and see the chances that there are for them to have or to make a good team, right? And the opportunities that they will give or provide to your firm or to your business to succeed, right? According to their mental capabilities, according to their mental creativity, according to the availability of a teamwork that they have in their own nature, right? We we have mentioned before that we review into the theological sciences the several disciplines, which are the Old Testament, the New Testament, and how they divide, right? The beginning, the Torah, or Pentateuch, right? The prophetic books, right? The historical books, the Kings, and where it ends, talking about the prophecies and part of the without forgetting the song, which is the poetry, right? Which is the poetry, which are prayers that people together were able to recite because they were having anniversaries, right? They have celebrations to remember. And since the Lord was talking to them and was with them in very different manners, that they were able to go back and celebrate and make all these celebrations. Having all these kings and all these prophets, right? Eventually, we see how in between the poetic books we have another ones that were very alluring, right? But they were able to see the passion, the elegance, and the journey of somebody who's really missed, who's really loved, and the interest that there was into wake with all these perfume environments and to be able to show how much this the lady, right, it was missing the loved one, right, and it's really something that is self-explanatory and is good to admire. We see how all these talents people had to see the way the human mind develops with different kinds of talents and gifts. Very gifted people, very talented people, and able to give a good advice, right? And some other things. We also were able to see how in the New Testament, all these four first books, right, which were from the apostles, right, from the 12 apostles, or from the 12 apostles, and later from the rest of the team. And we see the Jesus Christ and all the story and how he came into this world, right, and all this mission in life and all that there is, right, which is the basis, is how uh, looking into all this book was the education established, right, that the people should learn by telling stories. And by telling so many stories, people can be able to understand, people can be able to mold their lifestyle, people can be able to acquire knowledge, and to do the things that are required in order to make money, in order to talk and have friendship with others, in order to make a teamwork with other people, right? And we went into workshops such as jewelry, we went into workshops of fashion designing, we went into workshops of perfume making, right? And we are incorporating the tutorials and lectures of veterinary systems, which will provide for the first year the veterinary anatomy and the veterinary physiology. It will be given the veterinary production management, livestock, animal production for sale. And for the second year, we are going to be providing the tutorials and lectures of veterinary biochemistry, the veterinary microbiology. We are going to provide the veterinary pathology, the veterinary animal genetic breeding, and the animal nutrition. On the third year, we're going to provide the tutorials and the lectures on veterinary pharmacology and toxicology, the veterinary public health and epidemiology, the veterinary parasitology, the veterinary technology, production, livestock, the veterinary and animal husbandry, extension, education. We are going to provide the 4 year with the veterinary surgery and radiology, the veterinary medicine, the veterinary gynecology and obstetrics, the veterinary gynecology, the veterinary surgery, the veterinary medicine, right? And these are going to be several things that we're going to be providing on top of everything, right? Talking with some of the people around the area, right? And there's some people come over and sit, right? And we were writing the theory, right? And how to develop the strategy and to solve the Rubik's, right? The Rubik's, which is the and how to put everything back and forth, right? These Rubik's are for from 8 years old and above, right? And a lot of people, some of them, they brought some of the Rubik's, right? Rubik's, and some of them were able, by following the strategy that we wrote, right? They were able to see that it's not very hard to solve this cube, right? And how to put things in order. We say that if the person is a right hand, the first movement is going to be with the right hand, right? And it's going to be moved right to the right hand. And we say that which movement the person is going to have next, right? If it's going to be to the back or it's going to be forward, right? And we see and we say that the person who went to the public education, all the way to public education, is going to move the right hand first. And because they're very productive and because they're very positive, they will be moving the hand to the front, right? And because the obviously the hand is used once, eventually they're going to be using the left side, right? And the left side is going to be next, right? And probably they're going to turn around once, right? And then as they turn around, probably to the one side or probably to the other side, they will move one more thing forward, right? And so how can you reverse these things, right? And what can you do in order to have all these squares back again? Is going to be because if you reverse all the movements that you eventually saw the person having, right? You can be able to solve the square, right? When you see the person moves, it is a right with the rights with the right hand, you eventually will see that the movements of that hand went right, right, and probably went to the side, right, and went to the next one, right? And what you will do, right, by having the things done right, by reversing everything, all the movements they had, you can be able to solve, right, all these cubes. Because if something was moved by one person, when the person reverses everything, everything goes back to the same place. So it is not hard, right, to solve the Rubik's or the square. Do not be afraid. Buy one. I'm not promoting the sales, but it is a good for the nervous system. It will give you a peace of mind, right? It's a good exercise. It's something everybody will be able to solve, right? And I wish you the best, right? When you buy yours, because it's really something you can. Talking about other things, as we were providing the training, right, into the jewelry, we're saying, right, this is a cord, right? Something very simple, right? A lot of people which needs to have an extra money at home, right? It's made of skin. It's not very expensive. It's a 98 cents, right? And it's a very healthy for the skin. It won't cause you any kind of problems or skin irritation. And I choose the pink because it probably matches the skin. By having, right, this cord, right, that we were providing you the training in the past, right? You measure the size whether you want to make a bracelet, whether you want to make a necklace, right? You get the right size, right? And to make a necklace, right? And this is something simple you can always have and make, and you can make a lots of them. You can make a lots of them. So you have just by selling this single string, which is skin. This is worth in between $5 and 12, just like that, right? You can have, since it's something there is a luxury to have something like this, right? Whether if you purchase the attachments to the hoops required, or just make a nice tie and beautiful knot, you can have a piece of jewelry. We were telling you last time that we go, right? These are charms, right? The charms, right? And these are bottles, little bottles, right? Um, bottles like this, right? And bottles like this ones, which we were talking last time, and we open it, right? And we were saying also looking that this is just a regular sand. This is sand, right? A lot of people might say what this is not, right? When the person learns what this is, right, you will be surprised. Last time we were saying that we were using, right, the different kinds of sizes colanders in order to catch up, right, all kinds of semi-precious stones, even diamonds are in it. And those diamonds and all kinds of transparent stones are called pulseras, right? And right here we see calcetas, right, just right there, and this is just a regular sand. It's calcetas. We see the red ruby river gemstone, and we see some embers, right? And you can tell that there are some shells, probably some very small and tiny pearls, right? And this sand is from our ground, right? Which is full of semi-precious stones, which are a very, very little size of pieces of stone, which makes the soil, right? And so by gathering some of the little stones that we are talking, we gather, right, some of them in, and you gather, right, and we have already done a piece of jewelry. This is a very expensive piece of jewelry. You have considered in it. There are shells, there are calcetas, there are embers, right? And the red river ruby. And now we are going to put the string around, right? And there's going to be a piece of jewelry, right? Which we were telling you last time that we can all have, right? And we can all make, right? And if you invest money, right, on, you can have a very good revenue. And just right there, right, is a piece of jewelry, right? And if we follow up the next step, right, we will make a nice knot, right? Something very exquisite, right? To have it around your neck, and something that you can appreciate. You can even prepare your gifts for Christmas, for birthdays, right? Learning and how to do things, right? You can be able to be the person you always dream to make revenue, right? You can make bracelets also with the same way, right? Just that the bracelets is going to be shorter, right? As you see, it's going to be shorter. And you have a necklace, a beautiful necklace, right? which looks really nice with all the nice stones from the rivers, which are semi, um, right? There are skin, white skin, and brown, and there's all kinds of colors. The bottles that we were teaching you last time, it was of different kinds. You can even make them and learn how to make bottles, right? This little bottles is this one is a round, right? You see, and this is in the cover, right? And it goes on the very top, right? And just right there, this is on a round for a round jewelry, and this one was a little bottle. But you can always find in the market different kinds of things, and they're not very expensive. We were saying that the opportunities to conquer the world you dream of, you always want, is not far away from your reach, because your mind, when it's trained and where to find all the things that there are in order to make you the person you want, right, will be there at your reach, right? That's the reason that we insist, right? Just the same way that we were showing you and all the measurements that are required in order to make patterns in paper, right? And to analyze as you go to purchase your fabrics, right? And in the nature of the lines of the fibers, right? Because some of the fibers and the sense of that the thread runs probably is not going to be running from one end straight to the other end. Probably the sense of the string of the line will run in a curved manner, probably in a triangular manner, and it depends the shape that the creator of those fabrics were interested in selling for any kind of reasons, right? And it's very interesting and it's very important to usually ask the persons who are expert in selling the fabrics and the sense of the dress if you are learning the fashion designing and how to elaborate the cloth patterns, right? In the very beginning of in the 2013, 2014, we were providing you several sessions where how to measure the human body and the points that are basic in order to make cloth patterns, right? At the same time, in the workshop of perfume making, we were showing you solid substances, which are spices, right? And showing you liquid oils, essential oils, which are the basics of all these mixtures in order to find perfumes or to make perfumes, and how the oils and how the distilled water is added and used, right? And we were providing you an advice that if you ever get to find the essence that you would like to market, to take it to a pharmacobiologist, right? To a microbiologist in order to find out the lifespan and how to last or and how to make it last for a little bit longer than what you can provide your product and into the bottle, right? Because all these little details are very important for everybody to know. And therefore take it to the health department, right? So they can assist you and give you the okay, and so you can bottle your perfumes and you can become rich and millionaire. We're providing the training to be a cashier, right? To be a cashier, how to handle the money, how to work with registers, and how to recognize original money, right? And this was something that we achieved through the 2014 in 2015, right? Eventually, we went into the clinical pastorship, right? And to assist the persons we have damaged, right? We have illness that are hard to be reversed, right? Terminally ill people, right? And how to provide the counseling, right? The clinical pastorship with all the disciplines in order to allow people to understand their conditions and to be able to make them accept that there is really not much to do in regards of, but that there is something that it can comfort us, right? I was talking to a team of researchers who were thinking in the etiology of life, right? And where the product is in the mother's womb, right? And thinking that the state of life of this child ends in the womb to go out and to breathe air and to have a uh, vital signs into our environment, right? Not in the womb, right? Which is going to be a consideration of a death because it left the womb and died because it's no longer there and it's another type of death, right? And as they breathe, if it's alive or it's going to be expense or dying at any time, right? And we have all these different kinds of hypotheses, right? Whether if the person uh, is born to die, right? Whether if a person is placed in this earth to learn harmful things that will kill themselves, whether if the person eventually not knowing but playing and being rough will die, whether if the person by ingesting foods that are not going to be suitable, right, and their homeostasis is no longer going to sustain the life, will give the life to die, right? Therefore, thinking in that way, the person comes out from the womb to die, right? And then people grow after coming out from the womb, right? And they become adult and they reproduce themselves and they get old to die, right? Therefore, we sit and we think and what it is all about, right? And it has a lot of points of views because at the different levels of education, right? And thinking in theological senses, right? We are at what the Lord said that we are dead, living in Christ, and the rest does not exist, and we don't come to Christ. Therefore, life doesn't really matter, right? But when we are by His side and accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, therefore the meaning of our life has sense for the life of Christ, right? And therefore we belong saved or sheep from the Lord pastures, right? And where one day all of it are going to be a church, which is going to be the bride of Christ, and from there the inheritance of the mansions of gold and crystal seas will take place, right? And therefore, for all the terminally ill, right, we have all kinds of advice And we always have to remember, right, and remind them that everything that comes out from the womb one day will end, and that people do not die in the same way. That sometimes some people have more days of life and some other people don't, right? And this is the way we all should know. That's the way it is, right? And following the patterns through all the education and the public education is always telling you to be careful, to be, to be watchful. That way we don't have to die very young, right? Uh, by going through all these patterns of education, which is a privilege, born with we ought to be entitled to have this kind of instructions, right? All the way to graduate from professional, and therefore it shouldn't be any obstacles, right? That's the reason at home when people have children, they ought to have boot camps, right? To train their babies in how to safeguard their lives, right? And with these ways of gathering the information, internet, and have more science to really have fun with, right? People learn medicine since they are very little. And by the time they finish high school, they're already doctors, right? Even though if they're not graduated with a degree, right? But knowledgeable because they decided to take a step forward. And when people really learn and know the origins of muscles and insertions of muscles, innervations and vascularizations, as well everything that there is, with the quality and function of all the cells, is really not much because everything starts and everything ends. And when the person finishes their boot camp of learning the beginning at the end of every single thing, the person can be very rich and millionaire by learning the computer science and where they can program their patients, right, as they know the medicine, as they know the science, and as they know all these principles and all this knowledge, they can challenge all the knowledge they have and to become a laser surgeon, right? And when the person challenge the knowledge they learn along their life, they can promote themselves to the next step and how to make the life of every single person better, right? And how to have the medication the person have to have around the room they usually sleep, right? And to have monitoring the medications. It can be spray, it can be humidity, it can be a very little drops of substances around where the person lives. But when the person breathes nicely, they can at least sleep, feel all the goodness of having all these medicines that are nurturing your life and helping you out to live this life calmly. A lot of people, when they don't choose the public education and they don't understand that it's a privilege, right? The person is born with, right? That all these entitlements, right? People have it, right? People live with distress when they don't get into these lessons, right? Because many lessons have to have told in order to make people calm, to make people stay mentally steady, in order to make people understand what they're at, right? And by with the hormones and all kinds of uh, um, toxins other persons have And when you see that you're not easy and that it's no longer you and that you are breathing heavily and that you cannot understand what's going on, you can be able to see what's going on in your blood. You can even able to go and draw a blood and put it into the centrifuge and find out in between the serums and the analysis of the blood hematology, right, to find out what kind of toxins, right, and send the serums to evaluate into the lab to find out what it was happening to your blood that you don't feel well, right? And by having all this testing that you already know what to do with your body, then you create a fortress, right? And all this is given by the education and starts with using your entitlements that you were born with, right? What belongs to you that you were born with, your privileges that you were born with, right? Because all the money is already being paid. A teacher is already being paid back to take care of all the students and to really promote to the next level. Because it is a responsibility of our instructors to help us out to reach out the next level, especially when people is at professional level. Because the professional side, uh, uh, um, they they're very selective, and the people already selected, very and extremely selected. They had to graduate in order to give the community somebody to cover when doctors retire, somebody to give to community to replace the ones who already became rich and they are helping their children to invest in their careers, and they have to keep eye on the monies and the contracts and the deals and wills, right? And that's how doctors are no longer in the hospitals. That's the reason doctors are not serving the community and the universities and professional level. If the students are like 2 years far away from graduating, it's better to advance all the students, all the people, because there are just few out of 100 that they were incurring or getting in. Maybe 20 are regular to graduate. Maybe 30 are going to be graduating on time. Maybe 40 are going to be graduating on time. The rest of the people are in between the second year and the third year because things happen in life, because people get ill, because people run out of money, and all these things cannot happen because the universities expect the federal government to put all their paychecks and to put millions of dollars to have every single thing in the universities when the community is already prepared to pay for their classes, and out of those classes the paychecks for those instructors supposed to be given. All the replacements of substances and chemicals and things for laboratories and equipments should be paid by the people, right? And have the country to use the money for other things. But some of the professional side, for whatever the reasons, they select, extremely select people, right? And which are not usually the brightest people. Usually the people who are going to be present because they have the references and because they were not part of any kind of application or because they are already children of doctors, of bright doctors, and that's the thing, right? And we believe that we can learn and achieve by boot camps along our lives. and to be ready and to understand our human body, as the community have already shown curiosity and to understand what is going on with our body, with our mind, our environment, and our world, right? And we are very pleased to have been presenting our programs along these years. And we are not open since 2013. We were looking for to apply in some other cities with some other names and under the trainings for education, science, and theology. And before that, since 1994 and 98, before that, as a surgical instrument agents, where we use the sale of surgical instruments to promote our medical career, our medical degree. And therefore, I'm personally, I say I'm very pleased to have followed the path of science, right? Because it's what I was prepared my life for along this years. And since I remember, since I was a very child, right, we used to play doctors. I probably was 2, 3 years where when I started playing doctors, and it became devotion. And my 4 year, my fifth, my sixth, up to my 12, where we learned how to inject people, and eventually to help with bandages, and by helping us out, right, through our adolescence, right. Eventually, as we went into the medical schools, we learned as a volunteers and sometimes working to help the elder, and many cases and studies that they were related. And it's been a very interesting, right? And now that the internet is here, it is very interesting and very important to learn everything related about computer, right? And I don't have nothing else but just to congratulate our genius we have in this country, which are behind the age of technology, right, into the computer science, because their efforts, their work is not going to be in vain. People who have already graduated from degrees, as they see the need to apply their knowledge and everything they know into the computer science, right, to promote their business, they see the need to learn and to get into the computer engineering, programming, and all kinds of work that there are available, which will make it, our businesses to look better, right? Well, thank you very much to all the computer scientists, right? Also, and we hope that in the future we can achieve a little more along with all the young students, because if already we already know and we are able to learn much more, but that's something a plus for everybody. So everybody is there curious about learning, and we're going to provide the tutorials on science and technology, right? And workshops of things that are enriching and helping the mind, such as the music therapy, perfume theory of uh, therapy, the things that give therapy to the mind, poetry, speeches, oratories, which are usually something good to work with a lot of people. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and I will be with you some other time. And we want to appreciate the opportunity to have us in your homes. Goodbye.